All right, you guys, welcome back to the video. We're back in greenhouse 1, getting prepped up for hanging basket season. You can tell it's extremely tight to fit through there. Already regretting putting those ginormous bales of dirt there, but hopefully we'll be able to get in here enough times today to get it all done. So the pile was thawed out, so we're gonna start on this side here. This is definitely the worst side. This is where a lot of that wind comes through. The berm on the outside is also all thawed and melted, so we should be able to get, I think I'm going to do gravel instead of the sand. The sand that I had there last time just seems to slough away, so I have a little bit of 3/4 inch minus gravel that I think would be better in there. It's left over from another job, so we'll get that packed in and then maybe cap it with some sand. So let's get into it. So we ended up catching a pretty big problem on our garden planning for the season, for our CSA, for successions and whatnot. We were browsing through it the other day there because we had to make a few changes early season. And we realized that there was a bunch of stuff in the calendar that wasn't populating in the right spot. Here, let's just go back and I'll show you. So this is the sheet that we use to plan our whole garden season for the CSA and farmers markets and whatnot, and it all runs on code. And where we ended up having an issue was down in the production calendar here, which we didn't realize until just yesterday. We almost kind of lost the season before it even began, is that there was code in here that wasn't transferring. So this task calendar here tells you what that needs to be done at a certain time, whether you got to seed it or transplant it or what have you. And we were browsing through here the other day because we had to make some early season changes just because we don't have, this isn't basically ready yet for us to do, so we're just cutting a few things out early season. And we realized that there was nothing for greenhouse cucumbers in here. So when we went back into the production calendar, under cucumbers here, for some reason, when these cells were empty, it was throwing this date back in time to December of last year. So none of the tasks from planting to harvest were showing up at all, and it was actually for numerous crops. So it would have ended up being for cucumbers, green onions, all of our peppers, basically all of the crops that get seeded in the nursery first. So all of our lettuces, you name it. So it would have been, I mean, and you wouldn't really have noticed it right away because it would have been by day, not like it wouldn't have been like a whole day or month that you wouldn't have been planting. You still would have been planting things. So it would have been probably a little bit of time before we actually would have noticed, being that we get busy planting for the seedling sale as well. So just because we're planting lettuce doesn't mean that it's for the garden or for the nursery or the seedling sale. So it can get a little bit confusing. So it's just a reminder that you always got to have your finger on the pulse and be checking, triple checking your work to make sure that that things don't get missed. So fortunate we caught this in time. The season is still a go. So you can really see the importance of that sheet to us and why it's so important for us to be triple checking our work. One little mistake on that sheet and all of a sudden you don't have, lettuces every week and broccoli every 3 weeks, and it can really hinder what you're bringing to market and also what you've already committed to your CSA subscribers. The sheet's been a game changer for us. It's kind of evolved over the years. When we first started and we were more, on a homestead scale, I guess you could say, where we were just basically growing for ourselves, and then anything extra we would sell on to friends and family. It wasn't as important, we were pretty well writing it on the back of a napkin sort of thing. And then over the years it slowly evolved into, keeping track of more detail, to the point now where it tells you week or day by day basically what you need to do throughout the whole season so that you can ensure consistency, which is what people want. So it was a good save. The season's still a go, which is great. So let's get back to her. All right, you guys, you can see we got most of the mulch down. I ended up not doing it at the very back there. I think what we'll do is we'll take the dirt right to the back. Because what we're gonna do, if you're wondering why we're not just doing the whole thing with the same material, is that once the seedling sale's done, we only run it till about like June 15th, and then the outside farming starts to take over. What we'll do is we'll end up pulling those tables all out, and then we will bring in more compost and do raised beds in here and try to get 4 beds. I think this year we're planning on doing pickling cucumbers, a late season. Most people around here have pickling cucumbers early, and we've just found that a lot of customers just aren't wanting to do canning in the middle of summer, or that August time. So we push ours a little late by bringing them into the greenhouse and then have them more ready around September. So what we'll do is keep the dirt in the middle. That way when the time comes, tables come out, and then we can plant all this out. And then over on the till side of this area, I went and just put a nice little layer of sand in here. I got a lot more sand than I do gravel. So I think what I'll do is I'm gonna bring the sand all the way around the front of the entrance here. And then I'll bring in that 3/4 inch minus gravel and just do a little cap of gravel on top. When people are checking out at the till, it's nice good footing. And then over here is where we'll probably do all this, maybe gravel too. We'll bring in some of that dirt and stack it here. And then we also do some fertilizer sales throughout the seedling sale as well. So that's a good spot there to stack up some hard goods and go from there. So we'll grab a bit more sand and we'll keep trucking away here. Well, you can see we managed to get that gravel in along the side. I think it's going to do a lot better. I think where we run into a lot of our problems with the sloughing of that old sand that was there is when the water comes off the side, it just runs right down into that bottom baseboard and then sloughs it away, and then the wind is able to cut underneath. This gravel seemed to pack in there quite a bit better, so hopefully it solves the problem. Okay, so we got that gravel all in. It ended up having to be a pretty thin layer. You can probably see right here that door is extremely close to the ground, so I can't bring that up too much more underneath that door. So worst case scenario, like there is a bit more adjustment in the top of the door that I could bring it up maybe another 1/2 inch if needed. But we'll see what this does. If this packs in quite substantially, which it might because the sand is probably 1 inch thick. Once it packs down a bit more, I'll be able to get a better reading. In worst case scenario, I just got to pop these top leg bolts out, raise the track, and then that'll give me more room for adjustment, because then I'll be able to bring the adjusters down. So we'll pack this in for now and then go from there. Well, I was only able to get so far into that compost pile before we found frozen ground. So I just covered it back up with a silage tarp. It's supposed to be sunny tomorrow, so hopefully it heats up underneath there and we can get the last half of that greenhouse one filled in with dirt. So close. Probably 2 loads short. I always find it so funny this time of year. Anytime the snow starts to melt and things start to warm up, whether it's end of February, beginning of March, you always get these big plants to get ahead of the game. And Mother Nature always has a way of reminding us that it's still winter. So you can see the importance of getting these things in a good week, 2 weeks before you're ready to really start using them for filling hanging baskets. The middle of these pallets are still completely frozen. Big chunks of ice. So the internal part of the pallet Takes a lot longer to thaw out. So got to get them in as soon as we can.